Hi everyone, my name is Misha and I just want to welcome you to my channel. I want to apologize for my appearance. I am recuperating from pneumonia. Thankfully we caught it early, but it was like awful when all of a sudden I just couldn't breathe and it felt like I was having like an allergic reaction, and I had to be taken to the ER and they checked for everything and ended up being pneumonia. So here we are. The medication that they gave me, aside from helping me with the pneumonia, by the way, the background, it's Belle. Aside from helping me with the pneumonia, come here, baby, say hi. Here's Belle. Hi, everyone. So aside from like helping me with the pneumonia, it ended up like making me very like sick. So anyhow, so yeah, so that's why I look like this. I'm kind of feeling off. I wasn't gonna post anything this week, but I do have a very sweet subscriber that asked me regarding yellowing of the leaves and browning of the leaves. So aside from talking a little bit about that, about the basics when it comes to learning how to listen to your plants, I'm going to have some other things that I did throughout the week, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let me get a chair for her because I know she just wants attention. Let me see. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You want to be next to mommy? Okay, good. So when it comes to the yellowing of the leaves, it could be a series of things. It could be due to overwatering, underwatering. It could also be due to pest, or the leaves just getting too old, and that's a natural process. So I have a few examples here to kind of guide you through it, because there's also yellowing of the leaves when it comes to cuttings, especially when it comes to Hoya cuttings. So I have an example here of my coffee plant, which has a yellowing leaf. So this particular leaf, it's just old. So if you look at the entire plant, this was due to underwatering. And you can hear the difference in certain plants when it comes to under and over watering. So this one was underwater. And right now, this leaf is just getting old. The plant itself has no pest and it's healthy. Overall, extremely healthy. And we can see some of the roots. That's why I love this orchid pots, because it kind of shows you how the plant is doing. You know, a better way would be leca, but that's not for everybody. So, you know, if you want to remain with soil, which I have both. I have plants in soil and plants in leca. So yeah, so this is a good example of that. I also mentioned cuttings. So when I tend to buy a lot of cuttings from houseplants.com, and there's certain cuttings that before they root, the leaves do turn yellow. Some fall off, but when it comes to Hoyas, some remain and turn back into green. And this is a good example right here. This leaf had turned completely yellow and it's coming back. And this is Hoya publicalis HF Blue. And I rooted it in leca. I ended up doing a little experiment when it comes to this one. I usually do leca for propagations, but this time I did half leca and the bottom half was sphagnum moss. And that way I noticed that I didn't have to keep such an eye on the watering level. And it rooted very fast, and the roots are insanely big. And I just potted this one into this semi-hydro pot, which I love because I love seeing the growth of the roots. So this is a good example, and it's this particular plant did have a leaf that didn't make it, but this one made it and is going back to being green. That also happened in another propagation that I have, which is the Hoya rotundiflora. Multiflora. I have purchased another multiflora, and I didn't realize it had root rot, so I lost it within a week or two. So I ended up getting this cutting, and this one too lost a leaf or two. But if you notice the new growth, now that it has roots, is perfectly fine. And I'm not removing this leaf just in case it comes back. If it doesn't, it's okay. But this one is coming back to being green. And let me see if I see any roots on this one. I guess the roots on this one are not as vigorous, but it's nicely rooted. It probably has a little bit over 2 inches, because that's when I tend to pot it. So I do keep it in an aquarium, and I will be doing a tour of 2 aquariums that I now have. But that's another normal yellowing of the leaves, because the plant cannot get nutrients to the roots, so it grabs the nutrients from the leaves, and that's why they turn yellow when it's a cutting. So don't think that because it's a cutting, unless it turns brown, let it be, it comes back. Here I have an example of the browning of the leaves. This one, you can hear how crunchy it is, and this one was due to underwater. And I'll show you, because it's really easy for you to find out whether it's under or over water. So when it comes to underwatering, the leaves usually are crispy from what I notice with my plants. And when it comes to overwater, they're softer, they're soggy. And that's a good way to notice that. And when it comes to this one, because it is quite leggy, because of the underwatering, it lost a lot of its leaves. I'm going to clean it up, cut the stems, bring them back, and then top dress it. So I have a moisture meter so that you guys can see that this is actually, all these brownish leaves is due to underwater. So usually I try to do it, okay. So can you see, it's at a 2. And I think I actually put a little bit of water and it's still extremely dry. So you can only imagine, and it's dry to the point where the soil was getting compacted. I started taking better care of my plants now that I'm back on track, but it's they went through some neglect for the last 6 weeks, but I'm back on track. Oh, I broke a leaf. This one, I also have to do some maintenance on this one. You can hear this one was underwater as well. You can see how compacted the soil ended up getting from the sides. So this tells me, holy crap, I forgot about this one. So I ended up spraying this with alcohol to make sure it's okay. But see, this one is also dry. So I will do the same thing with this one. I'll repot the stems, top dress it, and water it. I'm also going to show you another one that is quite interesting, and then I'm going to insert clips of a plant that actually have yellowing leaves but is due to pest damage. So here is a good example of over underwatering, and it's better because it's a more of a, it's the same plant. It's just that this one's the Bonnie and this one's the spider plant. So when it comes to the spider plant, I had it in a different planter. I had it in a plastic planter, and the plants suffer and ended up getting overwatered. So that's why you feel like the stems are just completely different. And even the tips, they're very soft. When it comes to the Bonnie one, it ended up getting underwater. So it was the opposite. And you can see the difference in color between overwater and underwater. That's a prime example right there. When it's underwater, they tend to turn brown. Not always, but most of the time in my collection, when it comes to, plants like this, aeroids, Hoyas, they do turn brown. And when it comes to overwatering, I notice that they turn more of yellow, sickish kind of look. So this is a prime example of that. And even in the back of it, there's more, underwater, overwater. See the difference? And it's practically the same plant. So these are just very, very good examples that when you get to know your plants and you get to see what's going on, it kind of shows you, okay, this is happening to this plant. And I did suffer from a thrips infestation, so I am going to insert some clips of that. And then after that, you guys can comment below and let me know how you notice when the plants need your assistance, which type of species, because I would love if we can all learn together in the comments below. I love the plant community, and I feel like we definitely, we help each other out, and it's a beautiful thing to watch and witness. But now that I spoke about the yellowing of the leaves, I'm gonna insert those clips, and then I'm gonna come back so that we can do some plant maintenance. So this right here is an example of yellowing leaves, but this one is due to pest. So this particular plant ended up getting thrips, and when you get a yellow leaf and you look, you see in the other plants how there's damage from them, from the thrips. So this plant have to be treated for about a couple months, because what happens is thrips have eggs inside the leaves, which you can't kill when you do your initial treatment. So as they keep hatching and growing, you have to keep treating the plant until you get them all. So this plant is a prime example of yellowing due to pest, and sadly all of the leaves had damages with the exception of the new ones. So this is my philodendron Xanadu, and the interesting thing about it is I didn't purchase a large one at Walmart that I saw for only $12. It was massive. I could have done many, many cuttings, but I didn't purchase it because it had spider mites. And then I purchased this one, and it ended up getting thrips in my home. The next time I do my watering, I'm just gonna get rid of the really yellow leaves. But right now, because this plant has gone through so many treatments and it's bouncing back, I just want to do the minimum possible. But this is the difference between, yellowing due to old leaves and yellowing due to pest. In my Scindapsus pictus argyrius, this is an example of just an old leaf. turning yellow. If you see the entire plant and you don't see many leaves turning yellow, this is actually not bad. It's just that some leaves are quite old and they are exhausted and they just, need to come off the plant. So this one has 2 yellow leaves. I never underwater or overwater this plant, because as soon as I see that the leaves starts turning, I just right away water the plant. See, pest. There's no pest, and the leaves are just tired. And I pretty much treat my plants once a month, whether I see pests or not. So thankfully, pests in my home are pretty much under control.